Shalom, family. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from YAHUAH, our Father, and YAHUSHA. He is the Masha Yah, the one that carries the burden of Yah, his voice, our high priest, soon coming king. Hear, O Yesharal, YAHUAH, our mighty one, he is one. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you YAHUAH, the master of time. This is part 4. The great luminary, called Uyares. You would know him as the sun. My brothers, my sisters, this is the time when true worshipers will worship YAHUAH. These are the days when our Father's ways will be known to men. This is the hour when the Spirit comes and moves again all across the land as we worship him in spirit and in truth. That's what's missing in our worship. Truth. We have to return to the old ways, which is the good way, that you may find rest for your souls. The Most High's truth is in this book. It is esoteric knowledge. And because our people do not understand, they rely on commentaries from the Gentiles. Their enemies, and believe that they hold the truth. Esoteric. 1. Only taught or understood by members of a special group. Esoteric knowledge. Hard to understand. Esoteric subjects and concepts. 2. Limited to a small number. Did not the Father says that only a remnant would make it in? A small number of his people? Do you know why? Because they don't want truth. They would rather believe in a lie. It's easier. In order for you to return back to YAHUAH, you have to have knowledge. Your enemies have twisted everything. They hold esoteric knowledge that they're using against you. And instead of you studying for yourself to see how they destroyed you, you would rather follow those who do not have your best interests in mind. Through this series, you're going to see how much the white man hates you, how he has stripped you of all esoteric knowledge. When we read the book of Jasher, we found out that Yahussept, you know him as Joseph, and Benjamin, you know him as Benjamin, they were acquainted with all forms of wisdom. And the first thing that the white man did when he brought you here on these shores was strip you of all wisdom and knowledge even took your name. Now it's time to take back our heritage. How are you going to do that? With a knife? With a gun? With vain words? No. You have to obtain esoteric knowledge. Let's begin. Wikipedia. The equinox. Pay very close attention. An equinox is the instant in time when the plane of the Earth's equator passes through the geometric center of the sun's disk. You got that? The center of the sun. This occurs twice a year, around 20 March and 23rd September. See, they put around? You must learn how to read. The white man has double speech. He's not telling you it's going to happen on the 20th or the 23rd. He said, around. In other words, it is the moment at which the center of the visible sun is directly above the equator. So the visible sun has to be directly above the equator, the center of the sun's disk. The word is derived from Latin equinoctium. Did you know it was a Latin word? From equus, equal, and nox, genitive, noctis, night. On the day of an equinox, daytime and nighttime are approximately equal duration all over the planet. Equal day and equal night. They are not exactly equal, however, because of the angular size of the sun, atmospheric refraction, and the rapidly changing duration of the length of the day that occurs at most latitudes around the equinoxes. As the month progresses, the days become longer and the nights become shorter. Long before conceiving this equality, they're telling you here that before the white man knew anything about this, primitive equatorial cultures noted the day when the sun rises due east and sets due west. They constructed pyramids to capture this event. And indeed, this happens on the day closest to the astronomically defined event. As a consequence, according to a properly constructed and aligned sundial, the daytime duration is 12 hours, which means the night would be 12 hours. Equal day and equal night. What is the sundial's purpose? To count hours. In the northern hemisphere, the March equinox is called the vernal or spring equinox, while the September equinox is called the autumnal or fall equinox. In the southern hemisphere, the reverse is true. During the year, equinoxes alternate with solstices. Listen to this. Leap years and other factors cause the dates of both events to vary slightly. They're telling you something here. What causes the dates to be off? Well, daylight savings time. Yes. Starting your day at 12 midnight. Yes. Adding a day and a quarter to the year. Yes. Leap years. Yes. So they just told you the truth. Your year is off. It's not perfect because of all of these additions that the Europeans have added. Hanuk, chapter 72, verses 2 to 4. Let's see what Hanuk has to say. Pay very close attention to what he says. He tells you the truth. He shows you what to look for. Verse 2. And this is the first law of the luminaries. This is a law of the heavens. cannot be changed. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. Rises in the east, sets in the west. Verse 3. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises. Can you see these portals? Have you been transported in one of these great chariots above the earth to see these portals and what they look like? You have not. And 6 portals in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these portals. So for an observer, you can find these portals just by observation. But you wouldn't call them a portal. It is a position. The sun moves its position 6 times in the west, 6 times in the east. And the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead. There's someone who is assigned to keep these celestial bodies working in order. 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also, many windows to the right and left of these portals. Do you know these windows? When they are open, they can give you frost. They can give you heat. They can give you the rain, the dew in its seasons. Verse 4. And first there goes forth the great luminary, named Uyares, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating heating and fire. Verse 5. The chariot on which he ascends, he's on a chariot. He has an engine. Maybe not what we know. This engine is driven by the wind. And the sun goes down from the heaven. Listen to how Hanuk explains it. It comes down from the heaven. It returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal or position and shines in the face of heaven. That is what you call your equinox. Sunrise on the first day of the year. Verse 6. In this way he rises. See, sunrise, not equinox, sunrise. In the first month. Tell me, how can it be month? The Europeans have stated in their academics that the word month is derived from moon. You know, see, month is month. Month. It's derived from moon. So how can you use this term for the sun? So here's a word that we can use in the first period, in the great portal, which is the 4th. Verse 7. And in that 4th portal from which the sun rises, Uyares, in the first period, are 12 window openings from which proceed a flame when they are opened in their season. Who opens these windows? Can you do that? Tell me something. If you made an adjustment to a 13th month, or whatever you want to do, because the reason for the adjustment is to keep the month, the moon, close to this event. Can you make the window that gives you the rain and the dew and the heat in its season, can you make it open by writing on paper your adjustment to a 13th month? The answer is no. YAHUAH. He said that he is withholding the rain. Can you force it by making these adjustments? Hasn't worked yet. In the Promised Land, their rain is powder and dust. Verse 8. Here is the event that we're looking for. Not the equinox. It's called sunrise. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that fourth portal, fourth position, 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of heaven, rises in the east, sets in the west. Verse 9. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter to the 30th morning. So you see, at the beginning of the year, when the sun rises, it's equal day, equal night. But as the month progresses, the days, they become longer, and the night becomes shorter. May I ask you a question? Then what is the reason for adding daylight savings time if this event will naturally occur? Let's go back to Wikipedia. The equinoxes are the only times when the solar terminator, the edge between night and day, is perpendicular to the equator. As a result, the northern and southern hemispheres are equally illuminated. This is your equinox. They're giving you the truth here. This is what you call perfection. For the same reason, this is also the time when the sun rises for an observer. That's what we are, observers, at one of the Earth's rotational poles and sets at the other. For a brief period lasting approximately 4 days, both north and south poles are in daylight. For example, in 2021, sunrise on the North Pole is the 18th of March. Didn't they tell you it was the 20th? But it's the 18th. And sunset on the South Pole is the 22nd of March. So you see the 4 days? What did the Europeans tell us before in their academics? That the equinox can come out anytime between 18, 19, 20, 21. Also, in 2021, sunrise on the South Pole is the 20th of September, and sunset on the North Pole is the 24th of September. You see all those time zones? Did you notice that I did not read them? They're totally irrelevant now. Time zones are attached to the adjustments in which the Europeans have made. We're not looking for their time zones. What you're looking for is sunrise. And it's going to happen in the North and the South Pole at the same time on the 18th of March. In other words, now they're going to give you alternative facts. This is why reading comprehension is a must. The equinoxes are the only times when the subsolar point is on the equator. Okay, that's true. The middle of the sun is directly over the equator, meaning that the sun is exactly overhead at a point on the equatorial line. That is correct. The subsolar point crosses the equator, moving northward at the March equinox and southward at the September equinox. There's your lie. Your equinox is when it's directly over the equator. The sun is perpendicular to the equator. The Europeans want you to think that you have to wait till the sun crosses the equatorial line moving northwards, and then they give you a date like March 20th to be your equinox. Perpendicular to the equator. This is timeanddate.com. This is an illustration I wanted to show you. Look at the sun. Do you see the line that's dot, 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 dot? You got 4 arrows, and in between the 4 arrows is a dot, 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 and it points towards the equator. So the sun's center is directly on the equator. That's your equinox. Look, the North Pole and the South Pole are equally illuminated. You have equal day and equal night. Do you see it there? Yeah. Now, the Europeans want you to believe that the equinox is when, see the dot, 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 dot again? When that moves above the equatorial line and goes towards the north. That is not true. That is what they have created. The book of HAHUAH doesn't tell you that. The book of HAHUAH doesn't tell you any of this stuff about an equinox or any of these things, but it tells you that at this event, it's going to be equal day and equal night. What did HAHUAH say? Look at this illustration. The sun comes down from the heavens. It comes through the north. You see the north there? And you see the arrow that goes around? I'm going to use this arrow for my illustration. It comes down from the heavens, comes through the north, and it finds its way to the east. Do you see where it says equator on the right-hand side? That is the east. And it rises in heaven. So the event would begin on this side. Yeah, from the east. Why are they showing you from the west? Because they're trying to highlight the equinox in the north, but it begins in the east. March 2019, sunrise. Cora. In March 2019, sunrise at the North Pole is on the 18th, and sunset at the South Pole is on the 23rd. Contain yourself, Brother Kuya. Relax. You must be jumping out of your seat right now. Do you know why I just said that about Brother Kuya? Because we were able to deduce exactly where the equinox would be without Quora, without Wikipedia. What did we use? The Book of HAHUAH, the Book of Jubilees, and looking up in the heavens. And we came to the 18th without any of this knowledge. What did we do? We subtracted all of the time that the Europeans added. They stated that the equinox came out on the 20th in March 2019. We were able to take away 2 days, and we came to the 18th. Now we've been exonerated. Who's we? HAHUAH. You still believe he's apocryphal? And Brother David. Still think he's crazy? You cannot get perfection like this from crazy. Brother David is not a dilettante. A dilettante is a person who cultivates an area of interest without real commitment or knowledge. I've given my time 4 years straight, cramming, learning everything in the scriptures about these events. Look at the moons. You see March 7th, waxing crescent 1%. We were out there. We observed this event. So the evening of March 7th to the evening of March 8th is one day. So March 8th is New Moon's Day. Come down to the calendar on the bottom. See day number 8? From there, count 10 days. You're going to come to the 17th. The 17th was the 10 days before the equinox came. When did the equinox come? On the 18th. I mean, we have proof now. Through observers. We have proof now. Through the book of Hanuk. We have proof now. Through the book of Jubilees. We have proof now by deducing. Isn't this amazing? How can this be? Unless the book of Hanuk is perfect and precise. So the 17th is the 364th day. Your intercalary day is the 17th. And the next day, on the 18th, sunrise. The first day of the year. Listen to me. Our Father in 2019 stretched forth his hand to his people. Here, he said, I've given you the path of years. Follow me. And our people didn't even see it because they were too busy following the Gentiles and adding 13th months. Hanuk. If any of you are confused, I'm speaking about Enoch. His real name is Hanuk in the proper transliteration. Chapter 72. Verses 19 to 20. We're speaking of the autumn equinox or sunrise. There's 2 every year. Tell me something. Now do you believe that the book of Enoch or Hanuk is accurate? We used it to pinpoint sunrise without the observation of seeing it, by deducing. Verse 19. And Uyares goes forth from the 5th portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west, and rises in the 4th portal for 1 mornings on account of its sign, and sets in the west. What sign would that be? Look at the number there. 1 mornings. Every time you see a month or a period with 31 days, that's an intercalary day. So we found an intercalary day that comes right before the autumn equinox or sunrise. And it sets in the west. So for 1 days, it comes around, or 31 days, and it sets in the west. And after that event, verse 20, on that day, the day is equalized with the night, and the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, equal day and equal night. So we have this event happens twice a year. So in the northern hemisphere, we say it's the beginning of the year for this region. And in the southern hemisphere, they say it's the beginning of the year in their region. Now let's drop down to verse 31. Read all of 72 so you can see each month and find the intercalary days. I'm just going to show you the equinox in the beginning of the year or in spring and the one that's in autumn. 31. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west and returns to the east and rises in the third portal for 130 mornings and sets in the west of heaven. Look, there's that intercalary day again. 31 days. So in this 12th month or 12th period, after 31 days, and it sets in the west of heaven, verse 32, on that day, the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days, 364. Can you pinpoint 364 days on that calendar now? For 2021 or 2019? It would have been the 17th. Do you know what the 17th would have been? The sign, the intercalary day that was added by the Aliyam. What happens the next day? Sunrise. A whole new year. This is esoteric knowledge. And your enemies took this book out so you would not return. But Hanuk said, this book is written for a righteous race that would arise in the last days, when knowledge is greatly increased, and men are running to and fro. Now let's see the beginning of the year. We just had the end of the year from the 12th period, and it's 364 days have passed. The intercalary days have been put in their place. Now we have to go all the way back up to verse 8. When the sun rises in the heaven, not an equinox, he comes forth through that 4th portal, 30 mornings in succession, and sits accurately in the 4th portal in the west of heaven. This is your first month, your first period. When the sun rises, it's the first day. And as 30 days progress, as the month moves forward, the day becomes longer, and the night becomes shorter. Again, I must ask this question. If this is going to be a naturally occurring event, why do you add daylight savings time? New Year's. Did you know it was so many? Yeah. Over the years, studying all of this, I had people on the comment board. They would say things like, the New Year's in the fall. They were talking about the Jewish New Year. Then I had others who said, well, the New Year is at the equinox. You know, that's the 21st on the Pope's calendar. It's the Christian New Year. Then I had questions like, how is February the New Year? Let's answer that one first. February is not the New Year. It's impossible for that to happen. February is on the solar calendar. The New Year that we speak of is lunar. Brother Uyares, he overlays the lunar calendar on top of Pope Gregory's calendar in this matrix in which we live today, so that we can find the defined day. Yeah. Come down to 1. Let me show you how confused the pagans had us. That's why we've lost all of our knowledge of esoteric things. We're following pagans. January 1st. Did you not celebrate it? I surely did. Even when we were in the church, we had this thing called watch night. I don't know if any of you were in the church before, but we had watch night, and we would stay all night and pray, waiting for January 1st, the New Year. It's the pagan New Year. Tell me something. Is January 1st rooted in time? Absolutely not. What is it rooted in? A false god. Janus has 2 heads. One that looks forward to the future, one that looks backwards to the past. This month and this day is in honor of Janus. And the month is named after him. January. See what we were doing? Following the feast of the Gentiles after their era and after their ignorance. This is all we knew, correct? January 1st. But there's other New Years. Look, number 2, February 12th. The Chinese Lunar New Year. You see, the top one is solar. But the beginning of the year, according to Pope Gregory, is the 21st. You understand? So January 1st is there just for you to worship their God, get drunk, and do all kinds of licentious, lustful things. So February 12th is the Chinese Lunar New Year. I put this in my video. Yeah. It just so happened that the month, the lunar month, overlapped on top of February, the solar month. How did they get to the 12th and we got to the 13th? Well, they did an astronomical calculation and a conjunction, but we went for an actual sighting. We spotted the renewed moon in this month. When this month had come, we had moved 20 days away from the defined event. What defined event is that? What I showed you on the calendar before? 10 days before the spring equinox, we moved 20 days away from that. So we came from March into February. See, the lunar calendar is going to float 10 days every year, 10 days, 10 days. You understand? So we're not talking February, because that's a solar calendar. We're talking lunar calendar. So the first month, according to the defined event, according to Hinuk, according to Jubilees, was overlapping in February the 13th. What did YAHUAH say to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt in Exodus chapter 12? This month is the beginning of months unto you. It shall be the first month of the year. So if we have a New Year's, here it is. And it's lunar, not solar. But in our minds, we think January 1st is the new year. Not rooted in time at all. Is our new year rooted in time? Yes, we spotted the renewed moon, just as the Bible commands for you to do, to start your month. Hadash, on the 13th. In the first month. We didn't make any adjustments. We're in the first month. And part 5, make sure you see it. It's going to explain all of this too. Come down to number 3. September 6 to 8 is called the Jewish Lunar New Year, Rosh Hashanah. It was in September. Hey, Brother David, are they saying that September is the first month of the year? No, they don't say that. Because they start their year and say the first month is sometime in April or the end of March, after they make their adjustments, that is. So what kind of thinking this is, I can't tell you yet. I'm trying to figure it out. Come down to number 4. March 21st. The Christian New Year. Yeah, most of us don't even know about this. But this is the Christian New Year, March 21st. Pope Gregory fixed his calendar to the 21st of March. Yeah. So if you're a Christian, this is your New Year. The Christians got 2 New Years. They got the pagan New Year and they got the March 21st New Year. Yeah. Both on the solar calendar. I want you to understand that. Now, Pope Gregory fixed it to the 21st, which means your calendar has not cycled down from creation without an interruption. Please don't say that. Don't even think that. They've tricked and fooled us for all these years. Let's come out from amongst them. Leave their errors and their ignorance alone. Because the defined event came out on March 18th. I showed you that. We had 2 witnesses, Wikipedia and Quora. Yeah. The solar year, the actual event, was on the 18th. And we proved it through the book of Jubilees, Hanuk. Yeah. And looking up in the sky. And we found the defined event. And were able to deduce and find the 10 days before the equinox in which men go wrong and make adjustments, which we did not do. That's how we found ourselves in February 13th. And then 2022 is going to be in February 3rd. See, it went back 10 more days next year. Number 6, Edom. Who's that, Brother David? Saudi Arabia? Mohammed bin Salman? The man of sin that was revealed in 2021? He was all over the news, plastered for what he did to that man. Cut him up in pieces. Oh, yeah. All of the prophecy matches him and his family. No other person on this planet does it match but them. Look at their lunar New Year's in the autumn. Yeah. Their lunar New Year was the 9th of August, 2021. So they must be doing a sighting because they don't do astronomical calculations. They go by the crescent moon. Yeah. Hey, Brother Kuya, this is their first month of the year. For us, you did a calendar for us, and this was the 7th month of the year 2021. Remember? From the 9th in the evening to the 10th in the evening. Yeah, was trumpets in the 7th month. So our 7th month is the first month for Saudi Arabia. Now, this is what you must know so that you can understand esoteric knowledge and people can never fool you again. If you know every single position and then compare it to scripture, you can define which one lines up according to the text. And out of all of these dates here, there's only one that lines up. It's perfect. The Lunar New Year for Yashar, the first month. Abib, the beginning of months. The first month of the year. If any day you can say is your new year, here it is for 2021. Continue to part 5. Got more esoteric knowledge for you. Shalom.